Welcome to the Ecom 80/20 podcast, the show for brands looking to compete and win at selling online by building better customer relationships. I'm your host, Isaac Hyman, featured speaker and author of the ultimate e-commerce email and SMS playbook, and founder of Highflyer Digital, the marketing agency for the fastest growing e-commerce brands in the world. On each episode, I reveal, unpack, and demystify the secret strategies that the top 1% use to acquire, convert, and retain customers better. My mission is to help you level the playing field and give you the tools to build more profitable revenue streams for your business. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ecom 80/20 podcast. We're super excited to be here. It is a little cold out there. It's starting to get chilly, right? The temperature is dropping down here on the East Coast. So I hope you're bundled up and bunkering down for a wonderful start to the year, especially when it comes to e-commerce. A lot more people are shopping online. A lot more people are starting to, settle into their routine for the year. And this is the best time to start thinking about, hey, what does my goals look like? What are my plans for the year? And how am I setting myself up to achieve them? So thank you so much for joining me on another episode. And we're going to be talking a lot about the roadmap, your strategy, and today talking specifically about 10 A/B tests you should be running constantly for your email and SMS program. As I always say, if you're not testing, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're not refining. If you're not refining, you're not improving. What gets measured gets improved. It's so important to put testing on your schedule every month, week in, week out, and get that done. I'm going to go into that a little bit more deeper right in a second. But first, before we get started, I want to always remind all our listeners to it comes down to having a plan and a strategy, right? If no one knows where the car is driving, you're just sending emails and texts day in, day out. You need that roadmap. You need that plan, that strategy in place to know where the car is driving. I've spoken to probably about 6 brands this week alone where they didn't have a good idea about where the car is driving, right? They're just sending campaigns week in, week out. And listen, that's great. That's great. It is important, but let's get somewhere with this, right? Let's get to the next level. So I remind all my viewers, go to highflyerdigital.com/playbook. You can get a free copy of this, my ultimate e-commerce email and SMS playbook right here. 330 pages of packed strategy, mindset, foundational structure you need to win at email and SMS. At the end of the day, we want to help you unlock the true revenue potential of every customer on your list. And the way to do that is by knowing how to build a better customer relationship with your customers on a one-to-one level using their preferred channel, email and SMS. So really excited for you to get that book. And if you need a hard copy, glad to mail it out to you as well. So let's dive into the topic we're talking about today, which is specifically the 10 A/B tests your brand should be running all year long. Okay. Here's the problem. Many brands out there are not staffed well enough to take the time to test, right? They just don't have the time. They need to keep the lights on. They need to send the campaigns out. They need to send the emails. They need to manage the customer service. And if you're a big brand, that's talking about the small brands. If you're a big brand and you have like 10 staff members on your marketing team, right? You still don't have time. It's really surprising that not many brands have the time. I have talked on my roster right now. I have clients that are both billion-dollar brands and also 7-figure brands, right? Some 6 figures maybe every now and again. They just don't have the time. It doesn't matter how big you are, you run out of time. In addition, as the bigger of a brand you get, you also run into these challenges of there's a ton of chefs in the kitchen, right? And everyone's got an idea and a concept, but no one takes the time to test it and make it a definite answer, get a definite answer to their solution, right? To their problem, to their test. So between the small brands and the big brands, no one has time for testing. They just don't roll it out enough, and they don't automate the testing, and they don't live with the answers that they get, right? Because the concept of testing is so vast. It's almost like a mentality shift. It's a mindset shift. You need to be in the mindset of saying, you know what, I want to improve on what I'm doing right now, and I want to take it to the next level. I need to dedicate the time to run a successful, measurable, definitive test. So on this podcast, we're going to address that problem, right? There's not enough time in the day to do a good solid test of your click rate, your open rate, your conversion rate, your send time optimization. There's not enough time in the day. So the best I can do is give you the top 10 ones to roll out all the time and set your schedule and start planning that out. If you were on the last podcast or maybe a couple podcasts ago, we talked about the 12 strategies you need to run out in 2023 that will help you achieve your goals. And on that roadmap was, after you get all your data, is put together a testing plan. So today we're going to get through the top 10 tests that I highly recommend you run out. Don't think about all, hundreds and hundreds of things to test. Focus on the top 10. 80-20. Ecom 80-20 podcast is all about finding out the 20% effort you need to implement that will yield 80% of your results. And one of those is testing, right? It saves you time, it saves you energy, it makes you money, and it gets you in the mindset of constantly wanting to refine and improve for the sake of your customers. I went to this, I'm going to go into this at the end of the podcast as well, but I want to share a really quick a note on that and proof of it, right? Just getting inside the mindset of testing and constantly improving, it will change the impact you have on your customers, right? They will click, they will open more, they will convert more just by starting testing. It doesn't matter what the test has to be. It just knows that your customers sense that there's something new. There's something happening here. And you'll see at the end of this podcast kind of a case study where just introducing the culture of testing and the mindset is enough to kind of shift their numbers up, right? And then, of course, we learned a lot from the test. But just having that mindset, if I can give you that today, and that's the one takeaway you get out of this podcast episode, it would be that start putting together that plan, start putting together that mindset, and get everyone on board. So let's jump in to the top 10 A/B tests for email and SMS you should run all year long. Starting with number one, we all know subject line testing, right? It's table stakes right now. Everyone's running it. You could probably run it out super seamlessly. Every email platform has it. So this isn't anything big or new. The goal is to test performance of certain subject lines against your standard ones, right? A great way to do that, use Jasper, use AI, use the technology out there. Get one line, put your subject line in, for example, new arrivals for March, new arrivals for February, and put that into Jasper and ask them to pop out 10 different versions of that. There's 10 subject lines you could run out as a test right there, okay? So really you want to kind of use the technology you have, the opportunities you have, and just the people you have in place to give you those subject lines. It's extremely easy to find. The hard part is just getting it done, right? So what are you measuring when you're running out a subject line test? Well, there's two things I would recommend you measure. Number one, obviously open rate, but you also want to measure click to open rate. It's not enough that people just open an email. Email marketing is not about opening emails, right? It's about clicks. It's about clicking and converting, right? So every relationship starts with a click. So the more you get people to open, the higher propensity they are to click, of course, but you want to measure if they're clicking, or are you just head faking them with this open? The number one, the best performing subject line, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the stats have been updated, but it was from Barack Obama when he was fundraising for his campaign, and he put in the subject line the word hey, H-E-Y, hey. That open rate was through the roof. So you can run the subject line hey all the time, but if you're just going to head fake them and get them to open the email without clicking, well, what impact is that? Okay, so you want to kind of measure click to open rate as well, not just open rate. Here's the testing plan you want to run out. You want to take your BAU subject lines. BAU stands for business as usual. The subject line that you typically would have used, such as new arrivals for February, you want to take 4 additional subject lines and test those 4 against the BAU, okay? And you want to keep the subject lines relatively broad for scalability. You don't want to start thinking about like, hey, my subject line is talking all about my new Sony a6400 camera, and I want a subject line for that. Well, that new Sony a6400 camera doesn't come along very often, but new arrivals of the month does. So test subject lines that are scalable. If you have new arrivals for February, new arrivals for March, new arrivals for June, now you have a subject line and methodology that you can constantly roll out every month. So test the subject lines BAU versus 4 additional ones and keep them relatively basic. Another one would be bestsellers. You have bestsellers of the month. You have new arrivals of the month. Test the subject lines on those. Here's why you want to roll it out. You want to roll it out across 8 campaigns, not 1 campaign, not 2 campaigns, 8. Get a good test going, right? You want to also run a 20 out of that test population, do 20% test, right? And then in order to make money, in order to actually not kind of leave money on the table, roll the winning subject line out to the rest of the population. Okay, so if I have my new arrivals standard subject line, I have my 4 tests, I'm going to roll it out to my list, 20% of that population, make sure it's a good number. If it's too small, you don't have really a good test either. You need to be able to have a good population, a good sample size in order to run this test. Make sure it's a good solid amount. The sample size depends on the size of your list, to be honest, right? So you want to kind of make sure that you have a good sample size. That's a different topic. You can email me at isaac@highflyerdigital.com. I will give you a sample size checklist that you can kind of look at. So roll it out, 8 campaigns, send the test to 20% of your population. That could be 20% of your population, could be 50,000, it could be 20,000, it could be 100,000, whatever that 20% looks like, and then roll out the winner to the rest of the population, right? The winner, you could have a time frame over 6 hours, 3 hours, a day, you name it. It really depends on your business. And if you don't have that big of a sample size, then roll it out to everyone, right? All 5 subject lines to everyone and see what that does, okay? And then once you know what's working, then you could roll it out to the rest of the population. You know the strongest subject line, then roll that out to the rest of the population, okay? Therefore, this allows you to know what subject lines are working best while also not sacrificing revenue and also enabling you to send the best performing one to the rest of the population that may not be doing anything, okay? So that's test number 1. Subject line testing is definitely table stakes. That's almost everyone knows that by now. Let's go to subject testing number 2. Testing number 2 is send time optimization. The goal here is to test the performance of algorithmically driven send times. So what does that mean? That means I'm on the East Coast. If I get an email at 7 a.m., maybe I have a higher propensity to open it than someone on the West Coast who will get an email at 7 a.m. as well, right? Or if you're sending an email out at 9 a.m. Eastern time, the people on the West Coast, it's 6 a.m. their time. You need to be able to send it at 9 a.m. everyone's time. That's driven by the algorithm. That's driven by your email platform, right? The algorithm will go further and say, what is the best time to send your emails to your big population? And potentially, depending on your ESP, what is the best time to send to this user? And therefore, it'll send over a 24-hour period the best email at the right time, right? As you all know, our strategy, right person, right message, right time, repeat. Right person, right message, right time, repeat. So this falls right in line. If you know the best time to send an email and it's super segmented and super personalized, you're going to have a really good, well-performing email right there. The KPIs to measure on this: open rate, click rate, and conversion rate. Again, if you're sending the email at the right time when they're going to engage with the email, that's great. But you also want to see if they're going to actually buy at that time. Or are they just opening emails because they're commuting, right? 6 p.m. tends to be a good time for a lot of people because they're mid-commute. But are they converting at that time, or are they waiting until they get home and then coming back on their desktop and shopping, right? So you want to know what that right time is and measure it. See what happens. If you send at the right time, that's a good step. Great. Our click rate went up. Did our conversion rate go up? Yes, no, maybe. Find out. Here's the testing plan to roll that out with. The testing plan: 50% of your population gets your regular send. The reason we do this, the reason I'm giving you a testing plan, by the way, is to kind of give you an idea about, I know you need to make money, right? I know that testing is a risk. Some people consider it like a challenge. Like, I got to make my money. I got to actually make revenue. I don't want to risk it, okay? That's why I'm telling you, split your population up. Segmentation plays that role. Split it up. If you're worried about it, split your population, right? So 50% of your business as usual audience get your regular emails. Don't worry about it. And then 50% of your population gets the send time optimized email, okay? So that means only 1 out of 2 are getting a send time optimized, and you can see what it does. Very helpful for your brand. It doesn't affect your revenue numbers. The rollout, once again, make it a good solid test, a good sample size, roll it out across 8 campaigns, do that 50-50 split, and you could even send it to the people who are engaged. So maybe your 50-50 would be maybe just your clickers or just your openers, and see if they open and click at a better rate. Those who aren't doing anything on your email, the send time optimization doesn't do anything for them, right? They're not even opening your email. There's other tests for them. Okay, that's the subject line test. Get them to be aware in your inbox. So this is the send time optimization test. Highly recommend you roll it out for your best engaged population. See if they improve their clicks. The third test you should be running this quarter, this year, is a postcard versus a PDP. For those that don't know, some call it a postcard, some call it a hero image, some call it the above the fold, you name it. It's that big main image you have. You see that one right here? It says new fall arrivals. If you're watching this on video, it's a new fall arrivals postcard. It's a nicely designed image right on top. One click, you know where you're going. On the other side, you have a PDP email. PDP means driven to product detail page, which is the product, right? So let's take an example of new arrivals. I could send out a new arrivals email with a big postcard that says new arrivals. Amazing. Come shop. Go explore. Or I could send an email that says, here are the new arrivals, and here's the dynamic or curated items that I wanted to show you, right? It could be 8 new arrivals, 10 new arrivals, you name it. What performs better? You got to test the performance of the postcard designed emails against the product-based emails and see what improves the click rate, the conversion rate, right? That's your KPIs, click rate and conversion rate for this type of test. And my experience has been that a postcard email has driven better clicks and better conversion. Why is that? Because people just want to explore. They want to know what's new. They can't shop from an email. They have to click back to the website anyway. So I may as well drive them all back to the new arrivals page, have them find an item that is relevant to them, and go buy it. You could use the algorithm to curate your new arrivals as well and pick it for them. So that's the test, right? There's the test. You can already see that, oh yeah, there's a lot of different questions I'm asking. Maybe this will do better here. Maybe we'll do better there. That's the mindset of testing that I'm talking about, right? You're getting in that mindset right now. So the KPIs are click rate and conversion rate. Your testing plan would be as follows. Send your BAU email, right? And your PDP-based email. Send your postcard email and send your PDP. Very simple A/B test. Send it out to your clickers. Send it out to your openers. Really, your clickers are your best population because they're going to click. So you want to see, are they clicking at a higher rate and are they converting at a better rate? There's the test right there, right? A great one to test this out on is new arrivals, best sellers. If you have a deal of the day, say mystery deal of the day, go click to find out what it is, or actually show the product in there. So see what does better. Roll it out once again over 8 campaigns. And if you're worried again about the revenue end, do a split to your population. 10% get this, 10% get that, 80% get the winner. Wait 6 hours till the test has matured and run clean through, and then you send it out. Okay, no miss on the revenue there, but you get an A+ for learning. And again, you could send it out to your clickers only because they're the ones who are going to show an indication of, hey, I clicked this email a lot more, or I clicked this one a lot more. That is a postcard versus a PDP test right there. The fourth A/B test you should be running out this year, reveal versus no reveal. We may get in our inbox, I know I get them all the time, mystery sale, surprise, midnight sale, secret Santa, secret everything, right? It's a secret sale. So you want to test the performance of that. The reveal versus no reveal. Test that gamification a little bit. Make it fun. I'll be the first to say, I've clicked on the mystery sales a lot. You have a great GIF that you have in the creative, and your mystery, you don't know what you got. Is it 20% off? Is it 30% off? Is it a new arrival? Is it a new bundle? Is it a new product launch? Curious. That curiosity drives a lot. What it comes down to, though, is how your landing page is built, how your converting page is built. Are you going back to PDP? Are you going back to a PLP, product listing pages? Are you going back to the home page? Wherever you're going, the mystery gets you to click, right? So the KPI here, as always, is a click rate and a conversion rate. The click rate, you'll probably see it skyrocket, to be honest. But if they're just clicking through because you're trying to get this kind of clickbait type of approach, well, you're not going to convert that well. So that's why you kind of look at it from both KPIs. Okay, that's why it's so important. So you have the reveal versus the no reveal. You have the mystery sale versus showing the 50% off in the extra creative, right? There's so many different ways to test it. Just do reveal versus no reveal. Very simple. The testing plan, 50% get your no reveal, and 50% get the savings revealed or the offer revealed. That's it. Very simple. And you could, again, do a 50-50 split, roll it out to your best population, your clickers, your buyers, your browsers, and see what that does. And then once you start seeing over and over and over again, you'll roll it out to the rest of the population. The one that wins, you send to the remainders, the people who aren't doing anything, the dormant population, the churn population. See if that gets them to engage with you. Okay. Here's the cool thing. You can run this out with a subject line test as well. All of these tests can be layered in with subject line testing, right? Here's how you do it. For the population that is clicking, you run a test for the reveal versus no reveal. For the population that is opening only, well, same thing. You do the no reveal versus reveal. Yes, there you go. Correcting myself. For those that don't open at all, do the subject line test for that population. Okay, so you now have a multivariate test right there. 2 tests going on at the same time. They're not, each one provides different data for you, and it's isolated. And now you can learn at the same time. 2 tests for the price of 1. Pretty good, right? That saves you some time. So roll that out, reveal versus no reveal, see what increases your click rate and increases your conversion rate. Let's go over to test number 5 now. Test number 5 is countdowns and urgency, right? The goal here of this test is to determine what urgency lends to your campaigns. And can you manufacture that urgency a little, not just with a last chance email, not just with a promotion like a Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Like, when can we manufacture this kind of urgency to get people to engage with us quicker and faster, right? So you see right here, there's a bunch of final hours, countdown timers right there. And we have, language of last chance or extended and things like that. So that's the goal. You want to determine the urgency of your campaigns. And again, the KPIs are so simple. Just remind yourself, every relationship starts with a click. So what are you looking for? You're looking for a higher click rate and a better conversion rate. If they're going to the website, we want to convert them. Here's a note. Whatever you do on your email, you should kind of match it on your landing page. If I have a countdown timer that says I only have 10 hours left before this sale expires, I should see that same countdown timer on the website, 10 hours left for this offer, this sale. Okay, so you have to match the two. If I'm not getting that urgency when I get to the site, I lose something, right? The conversion drops because I lost that urgency. So really important to match the two. And again, that could be another test you're running. What is doing no urgency on the website versus doing it in email versus urgency in both places. So really important to do that. The same testing plan here is that roll it out for your BAU and roll it out the countdown urgency elements in your regular emails, and then do one without the urgency. Very simple A/B test right there. Again, if you're worried about revenue, sending out 10% of your population gets countdown, 10% does not, and send the winner, the 80% of the population, the rest, the highest performing email right there. That's the best way to run out that countdown urgency. And there's so many different ways to do it. Use a countdown timer, as I mentioned before, but even if you have in your creative that last chance and have a GIF that shows like a clock, again, use your creative skills to get that done. Here's again where a lot of the brands fall down is they don't have the time to do that. That's a shame. Set the time, set your day, and set your designers, and set your team, and set your agencies out to dedicate the time to get it done. So you know when Q4 comes around, you are coming with your top performing campaigns at all times. Test number 6, right here, a great test to run out. Product assortment, okay? Now we're talking about the actual content of the email and a little bit more of the length of the email. There are times that Gmail will clip an email or it's too long and There's too much going on in the email. So we want to find out which one is the best type of email. Should we be running these short form emails, or should we be running these long form type of emails you may see all the time, right? Here's one from I've seen many brands, BlendJet and Apple and Nordstrom, all run these, long emails, really long. But in reality, majority of the clicks come from that top image. So do I really need that long form email? Right? So you want to determine the optimal length of your email. Do I need to stack 10, 12, 15 products in my email? Or do I want just one main image or two main images? What does that look like? There's your test. You want to determine the optimal length of your email before your conversion drops, before your clicks drop. Okay. So you want the KPIs you're tracking: click rate, conversion rate, and product conversion. If you're showing products in there, make sure that it's good real estate. It's taking up valuable real estate right there. So you want to make sure that if you're going to show it in the email, that people will actually buy it. And if they're not buying it, they may not need to be in the email. Just get them back to the site. Get people back to the site and buy. Okay, super important to remember that. So the testing plan for that will be as follows, right? Run out your BAU email. In this case, our BAU email would be a simple postcard that just says, let's say, new arrivals. Okay, new arrivals just arrived. Go check them out. Shop now. Okay, that's your BAU postcard. Test that against 4 new arrival products under your postcard. Test again against 8 new arrival products under your postcard. And then again against 12 new arrivals under your postcard. Okay, test it all out, the length of it, and see where the click rate drops, where the conversion rate drops. And there's your test. Then you'll know definitively over 8 campaigns when you roll this out, how did you do? What performed better? And guess what? Let's go with that from now on. You could do a 5-way split. There's 5 methods right there. Send it out to your population and do 5 versions of this email. Or you could test it out to your clickers only, because your clickers are really only clicking on the emails, right? So they'll tell you, I'm only clicking on the top banner. I'm only clicking on the top 2 banners. Great. So now you know. I'm not clicking on the products down below the fold. I'm not clicking the products down below the number 12 product on your email. It's just taking up valuable real estate, right? And then you could use that for other purposes. So this will give, and it's also, by the way, it cuts down time on email creation, saving you time, 80-20. Again, majority of your efforts go to what's actually moving the needle. So really important to always remember that. So that's a great test for you to run. Again, my experience has been having a main postcard in there is all you need. You get the clicks and they go shop, and they'll shop whatever they want to shop. People don't want to be sold, but they love to buy. So get them to go shop. And underneath that postcard, what works best for me, as I've seen, dynamic products based on what they viewed in the past, what they've carted in the past, what they've bought in the past. Okay, that's usually what works best. But run this test out and see for yourself. Test number 7, very similar to the past test. So these are kind of very similar. These are going to be a little more related, right? Curated products versus dynamic products. If you're a brand, a retailer, or a direct-to-consumer brand, you have great products. You have great items you want to show them, and I know you love them. I know you want to talk about them all the time. But sometimes customers just want to buy what they're interested in. They don't need to hear about your nice new skincare product when they just care about your hair care product, right? That's all they really want. They want to know more about that, right? 80-20. So test it. Which works better for your campaigns? Is it better for me to pick the products, or is it better for the algorithm to tell us which products to show them? Okay, test it. Again, the KPIs are very clear: click rate, conversion rate, and the product conversion. If people are buying the items that they're most interested in, the algorithm works. If people are buying the items you're talking to them about, then your curated products work. So you got to test that. The testing plan, run it. You can run it over 4 campaigns, right? And you'll have enough learning from that. 4 campaigns, split it 50-50. 50% get your curated products, 50% get your dynamic products, and you'll know by there, right? You'll know pretty quickly people are buying the products they may be interested in, or they're buying the items I'm talking to them about. You can also go deeper and talk about the copy and the content and the length of it. Again, that's a little bit more of a multivariate test, but here's the thing. You're zeroing in on the fact which is better, me picking it and talking about it, or the algorithm talking about it. The beauty of it, again, is am I saving time by doing this, and are people buying more? My experience, dynamic wins a lot of the times, unless it's a nice new arrival, it's a new product feature, it's a new element of the product that people want to know about. In that case, use segmentation. If you want to talk about a new arrival of a product, you don't need to go to everyone on your list. Go into a massive segment that you know is the biggest fans of that product, right? You don't need to send to everyone. Everyone else can get the dynamic email. An example of that is if you have a new arrival of, let's say, I'll use that Sony camera again, example, Sony a6400. If I have a new camera that, I'm going to send it to people who love Sony. And everyone else, if they're an Apple buyer or a Canon buyer, they may not be interested in this. So I'm going to just send them the new arrivals email, right? So it's a little bit different. So you have a lot of options here to kind of figure out which campaigns work better and how am I saving time from me picking it versus the algorithm picking for me. So curated versus dynamic is a great test to roll out pretty quickly. Test number 8. Now we're getting a little bit more into the content side, right? Content is like, which is better, dynamic content or static content? Dynamic content, a great example of that is, let's say you have a blog and let's say you have all these articles coming out and it's powered by an RSS feed that's constantly being updated based on the amount of content you come out. And then the other way is I have a blog post that I just published. I want to get it out there. I want to get my clicks up. I want to have people reading it, but it may not be super relevant, right? So which is better? Me to talk about our latest blog post that we just posted, or is it better to have a dynamic feed that shows the posts that are most relevant to every user? My opinion, dynamic wins. My opinion, okay? You can even blend it, which I'll talk about next. But you want to figure out which content increases the engagement and the KPIs. Again, if we're talking about engagement, clicks and conversion rate. And if it's a conversion rate, may not apply to a content piece. So conversion rate could be something different. You may just want to measure click rate or time on site. So there's ways to measure that outside of the email program. That's more for CRO or things like that. So the testing plan, again, send out your content, your top 3 articles that you just published this month, this week, and then you send your RSS feed content 50-50. Split it. 25 versus 25. 25 get your manually curated content, and 25 get your dynamically curated content, and then send the winner out to the rest of the population. Okay? That's it. It's a very simple test. You just have to get it on your radar. I love content because it allows people to kind of click and read or click and watch the video. And that's really important. Do they take action and actually buy the products you're talking about? Not always, but that's kind of, again, that's a UX thing. That's a website thing. That's a conversion optimization thing that you could definitely work on. And there's ways to do it really, really well. I've seen it done really, really well. But from our email side, you just want to see which content gets more clicks and back to the website. And it could be that your piece of content from 2 years ago outperforms your latest content you just launched 2 days ago, right? Because it's dynamically populated for that user. A good example of this is post-purchase. If I just bought a product, let's use Apple this time. If I bought an Apple MacBook, I want to learn all about Apple MacBooks. And that article could be years ago. How to care for my Apple MacBook, how to get my software updated, right? How to clean it. I don't know. As opposed to you talking about an article about the Apple AirPods Pro 2023 version that just came out. This one is more relevant, right? So dynamic wins out from when I tested it, but you should be testing it yourself as well. So that's number 8, dynamic content versus static content. Let's go to number 9. Did I miss one? Number 9, content length. Now is when you kind of test out, same thing as you did before with the products. You want to test out how many pieces of content should we be including in our emails. So same kind of methodology. Should I have 3 pieces of content? Should I have 10 pieces of content? 20 pieces of content? Test it out. Testing plan, again, very similar to before. Click rate, conversion rate, and time on site, right? See how much time they spend reading the articles, or if they just click through, were disappointed, or did not want to consume the article, or was too much to kind of, ingest at the time, and they left, right? So you want to test that plan out. So test out usual, maybe one video on the top, like a BAU one or new content just launched. Test out three videos in your email, 6 videos in your email, 12 videos or articles in your email, and one that just says like, hey, a postcard, right? So test it out. Same test as you ran before, run it out, 5-way split, run out to your best population, see what they do. Do it multiple times, 4 to 8 times. I like to do 8 times. It gives a much better, cleaner test, but roll it out, see what it does. If you start seeing significant impact on one type of email, well, after 4 times, well, then you kind of know already. You could kind of sunset the rest of the underperformers. So that's content length. Test the length of your content emails similar to your product emails. And finally, the 10th test to be running out is blended content, right? You want to blend it, video and article, or just video or just articles. Which performs better, okay? You want to determine that because some people love videos more, depending on your brand, and some people love articles more, depending on your brand. So again, the measurement is click rate or time on site. The testing plan is as follows. Run it out, very basic. One gets articles only. One, the other segment gets videos only. And the third segment gets blended. Run that out, a 3-way split to your best population, 4 to 8 times, and see which one increases the engagement and potentially the conversion rate, but definitely the time on site. See if they're consuming at the right time. Once again, you can layer in other elements too, right? Send time optimization is great. And you got to kind of look at these tests of like constant learning after you've learned from the past one. So if you know that people consume content at 6 p.m., so send this test at 6 p.m. because that's when people have a higher propensity to read or watch your videos. But you wouldn't know that until you ran the send time optimization test. So you see how they kind of all need to be part of a roadmap, and each one has a marker, a milestone, a mile marker, I guess you'd say, that will allow you to kind of constantly refine as you go. So this is a really good test to run out, and it's blended content because I have seen myself that videos tend to get a lot of great views, but you have to send it at a time when they are ready to sit down and watch it. An article, one could skim it and kind of get the gist of it pretty quickly. But a video, I want to sit down and like consume it in the right way. I'm on a lot of webinars and I want to kind of, I get an alert and this is a new video coming out, but I don't have the time, like 30 minutes to kind of dedicate to it, right? I need to do it on my commute, or maybe a podcast is live and I need to do it during my commute, or when I'm away from the kids and the family, I need to be able to sit down and listen to it. So test that out, see when they are actually consuming the content and use that to base your decisions. So there's your top 10 tests. These tests are super easy to run out, super easy to accomplish. And I just want to kind of go back one more step to start saying that it's about getting in the mindset. Here's a quick case study that where, when we started coming in with this $1 billion client, we started implementing one of our culture of testing. And that's just one of them, one of the $1 billion clients. Luckily, they have a good team in place, but they never got in the mode of testing. They just never started testing, surprisingly, right? Just gain inside the mindset of testing allowed them to go from 6% of total revenue generated from the email to about 9% of total revenue generated from email. There were no extra emails sent. There was no extra promotions going on. It's the same things they were doing year in, year out, but we got in the mindset of testing. We wanted to increase the click rate. So we tested all those elements of click rate, PDP versus postcard and dynamic products versus non-dynamic versus curated products. All these tests were run out, and that culture of testing led to an increase in revenue from their email and SMS channel. So just gaining that mindset will help you lift your revenue up as well. Save you time, save you energy, and help your customers know that you're trying to build a better relationship with them. It's so important to remember that. The mission of email and SMS is to build a better customer relationship. And the way you do that is by learning what works best for them and being on a one-to-one level, right? That's all it comes down to. So want to just leave you with that final note. There are many other testing capabilities. I invite you, if you want, send me an email, isaac@highflydigital.com. I'll be glad to send you my A/B testing roadmap. I have a whole document here. It's all similar to those 10 you've seen before, but I have about an additional 10 more that I haven't discussed on this podcast. I think they'll help you, but these are the top 10 that will really move the needle for you. The other 10 are like, Great. Now that you know all those answers, now we can start testing more things, right? Omni-channel and email versus SMS, email and SMS, blended approach, multi-channel approach, all these cooler, fancier things, CRM. So I invite you, go, do those 10 tests first, and then start rolling out more advanced ones. You can email me, isaac@highflydigital.com. Glad to send you that roadmap. So thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, the Ecom 8020 podcast, and another episode. And I really hope you take action and start rolling out those tests. And if you don't have the time, set the time down, right? What gets measured gets improved. It's really important to jump right in and get started before the months go on and on. I know you can. I'm going to see super important things from your brand, I bet. Let me know if you have any questions about testing. It's just so critical, right? The top brands are doing it. You can do it too. Use those 10 tests. Your business will be in a much better place come Q4, come this time next year. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Ecom 8020 podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe and follow us on social at Highflyer Digital for daily tips and videos. To put this week's strategy into action and move your brand forward, go to highflyerdigital.com/book and schedule a free 15-minute chat with our experts. If you book today, you'll even get a free digital copy of our 330-page email and SMS playbook to get you started. Let's partner together to compete and win at e-commerce. Your brand is worth it. Until next week, this is Isaac Hyman, wishing you a successful and profitable week.